Hello everybody, Jordan here. The PH is silent, and today is day 29, so tomorrow is the end of our 30-day challenge. It's been pretty crazy. So I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for following along and doing this whole challenge with me if you have. And if you're just starting it, I wish you good luck, because I think it's gonna be, it's been really fun and eye-opening, and I am really excited to run a game in my world, and hopefully I will do that and we could stream it. That would be a lot of fun. But we'll see what happens. In today's episode, let me look at my notes. Yes, and so in today's episode, we're doing Character 2, which we're gonna translate into kind of defining the regions a little bit more, because I have NPCs, but I need to place them into the regions. So it's kind of a complicated one, and if I'm honest with you, I was slacking a little bit doing other just relaxation holiday stuff. But invigorated today. And then the second one is Legendary Relics, like powerful artifacts of old. And this is gonna be really good. So let's hop on over to Notion. All right, let me just move this microphone a little bit so that you guys can hear me. And we're going to switch on over to Notion. Again, my name is Jordan, and today was character number 2. So if we go all the way down to 29, that was 28. 29, character 2, finalize your character. Since I could do this with Domitica, but I don't want to. Instead, what I wanted to do is go over some of the, basically the 4 empire things that I created, and hash them out. Like, what are these cities and why are they important? So we're gonna look in a social and cultural world, not just for places where your character doesn't fit in, but also places where he or she does, and note them in your character notes. I don't know, this is just such a, not for tabletop RPGs, but for an NPC, yes, but an NPC is not gonna get this much play. What's more important for us is to create story linking elements for player characters. So if you're like, oh, I want to play this type of, like, let's find, I want to be a human wizard in your Endigar campaign, Jordan. Well, that's perfect. You can be from this city where they train wizards, but if you're not from that city, then you are secretly learning wizardry and you don't have a permit for it. And so that really changes their character. Like, do they do it the legal way? Are they going around? Why are they going around? So I want to create those little like pocket scenarios. If I can say this is like this, if this city is like this, then that spawns creativity in the player character, hopefully, and gets them more excited for their character and helps them understand the world. So going back to this, I went over to locations, and let's go to Incarnate really quick. Okay, so here in Incarnate, I zoomed in on basically this map of Endigar that we ended up creating. So I zoomed in like down here. And when we did zoom in, we made 4 areas. So we have Windspell, Belle Vertoc, East Haven, and Wangrieve. And so I wanted to kind of define those areas because this is where player characters could be from, or they could be on the outskirts of that kind of a thing. So jumping to locations, I made, my mouse doesn't like to work. So I made these 4 down here. So let's start with Wangrieve. Wangrieve is a human city in the south, home of magical research, and it has a large library that is magically sealed by the Quadrivium. So expanding upon this, I want to say like starting characteristics. That's not the word I was going for, but we're gonna do that. So starting characteristics. So for example, has a school of wizardry, or there is like wizardry is allowed. Or I should say, let's say this, issues permits for wizards to practice wizardry. Has a area for making magical items, because you need like maybe circles or the right ingredients and things like that. Fairly open trade with elves, dwarves, and the other 4 cities. So you could be a merchant here that either buys or sells from other areas to provide the base items, jewelry, weapons, armor, things like that for enchanting. This is also a place, if you wanted to be a wizard, maybe you were enrolled in this school, which I don't have a name for yet, but we got to do that. They issue permits to practice wizardry. A school of wizardry, name this later. And so we'll say also a fairly wealthy city controlled by an arch wizard, we'll call them that, who follows Domitica. And that is also something that we need to figure out. So I'm going to mark it orange. And yeah, School of Wizardry is also something I should mark orange. Actually, this whole thing could be orange. All right, so that's Wangrieve. And then questions for me, I guess I'm going to put questions down here. Why is the city's name Wangrieve? How big is this city? Does it have an army, navy, or magical force that protects it? And yeah, I think these are good to have in there. So that's Wangrieve. And then let's jump over to East Haven. So East Haven was, I said earlier that this was under a different king and queen, but they wouldn't bow down to Domitica when she arrived. So they mysteriously disappeared. And because they mysteriously disappeared, a puppet was put into place, and that man changed the name to East Haven. And I wanted that to be about like 400 years, but maybe 300 years. So like humans are kind of like, this really sucks. But like elves, dwarves, certain races might be like, yeah, we remember when it was free. So I don't know, that could be good. And then I said originally it was known as the Lyra Kingdom for Queen Lyra that founded it 300 years ago. And I liked that idea. I liked that it was a queen. That was the idea that I liked. So if this is, what did I call that earlier in Wangrieve? Starting characteristics. I liked that. So starting characteristics. Starting characteristics are, people do not like the government. Miss their, royal family. Lots of trade, mining in the nearby mountains. Lots of farming as well. Friendly with elves and dwarves. Many have second homes here. Large wall protecting the inner city from attacks. And then now that I think about it, each town should have a secret too that I'm just thinking. So like the secret should be, I don't know. Like Thieves Guild is strong with thoughts on disrupting Domitica's control. So we'll throw that in there. Like there's a thieves guild in here, and I like that. And then questions are kind of the same that I want to have, like questions for Jordan. We know why it's called East Haven, but why was the wall created? Who were they protected from? We'll also say halflings, maybe orcs and minotaurs kind of run around here as well. I was thinking that orcs would be north, and I just kind of wouldn't deal with them yet, and focus on dwarves and elves, but yeah. Home to refugees of other cities, like, and we'll say exactly like Wangrieve, who didn't get along with the New Order. That's not a question. That's just me adding stuff. But yeah, I should put that up there. But why was the wall created? And then who is this puppet leader? It would be interesting if he was a legitimate puppet and we had some kind of like puppet master class that I want. But that would be another story. Belle Vertoc, a kingdom that welcomed Domitica and the Quadrivian. So, starting characteristics. Seaside town or city. Trading up and down the coast. Lots of lumber nearby for boats. Strong navy. So if you wanted to be like a pirate, a ship captain, thing like that, you could be from here. Thieves Guild in open operation with pirates. I don't know, historical significance. This was the capital of this area until Domitica changed it. Something interesting, like a secret. Trains lots of fighters, knights, and horses for mounted combat. Still has a underground temple to the six gods that has small but active worshippers. Has a small amount. Cool. Questions for Jordan. Why did the leaders accept Domitica so quickly? I imagine this is also a kingdom with a king and queen. So, how does the prince or princess feel about their family following this tiefling, this warlock? Built on old Verthandi tunnels that go out into the inland, or go inland. Again, that's not a character. That's a characteristic, but yeah. I'm also gonna say strong goblin presence. And then Wind Spell is the new capital. So we'll say new capital as of 300 years ago, put into place by Dominica. Overseen by a, what do I want to say, a baron, or a, what's a good, a duke? That sounds easy. Who controls the area, also has a small navy, rumored to have rumored to have, we'll say the Duke. The Duke is rumored to have divination powers and sees into other kingdoms. Not much trade as taxes come into the town in the form of equipment, money, and food. Often sends scouts out. The Duke sends hired hands out to look for various magical creatures or items. Some don't come back, and we don't know why he's doing this. So I think I got my point across, but that's what I wanted to do, is like just feel out these 4 areas. And I like that. So I have a lot more of this stuff to talk about, but that is where I will stop with that right at this moment. So, and then our challenge today is, what is a legendary relic of power in your world? So what is a legendary relic of power in your world? And if we go to magic items, I wanted each of my Quadrivium members to have a really cool magical item, since the whole campaign is kind of about infusing yourself into an item. I like the idea that they got these from the patron that they follow, or that they built them themselves or something. Kind of like Sauron creating the ring. It gave him power, but there was a little bit of himself in there. And so if our players defeat these creatures, these Quadrivium members, they could harness this power in some way. So Dominica's is a ring of brimstone. And I don't know what it does yet, but this is going to be a powerful artifact in some sense. And this is just a jar from the DMG. You probably know what this is if you are a fan of 5th edition D&D. But I like this, the Jar of Trapped Souls, and this might be the phylactery of our Quadrivium member that follows death and what have you. But the idea that he's siphoning souls into it and trapping them there. Of course, the yellow robe from the Far Realm, just a robe. This could be, I think they're all sentient magical items, but this could be a robe that flies around. I not necessarily like the MCU Doctor Strange Cloak of Levitation, but something like that. I like the idea that it wears you just as much as you wear it, kind of a thing. And I don't have stats, but I want these to be huge. And then finally, these are some, like a tiara of antlers. And I just really liked this image. And so the idea of some golden antlers that you wear, and then I think the more you wear them, or maybe the act of putting them on, it actually, like attuning to it, makes it so that they are part of you. Like, so you actually have antlers, and you can't lose them. They can't be stolen from you unless you are magically disassociated with them through maybe a dispel magic or something to that effect. Or maybe she has to willingly give it up or something. I'm not sure. And again, I don't necessarily know what this does, but this would be the Feywild one. And I just found I wanted to name them something more than the golden antlers. So I think Kervim's golden antlers, we need to decide who Kervim is, and his significance or her significance in the Feywild. So yeah, so I'm going to do that actually right now. We're going to go to NPCs. And I'll create a new one called Kervim. The entity that made or was, the entity that made, and we'll say Kervim's golden antlers. Most likely from the Feywild. Possibly a greater power. Okay. So those are the 4 quadrivium items that are really cool. And then I put Crystal Skull just because I like the idea of a Crystal Skull. And then I wanted to do some Platonic Solid weapons. So we have the Platonic Solids again, D4, D6, D8, D12, and D20. So of the 4 lower ones, those are weapons that we can use. So I wanted to have a D4 dagger and a short sword and a long sword and a great sword. And then those reflect the elements that these weapons are supposed to be. So for the Platonic Solid D12 Greatsword, we'll say that this is made from the stuff of space. This ghost blade is not really there, yet it is, and it can harm ghosts and ethereal plane creatures. And it allows the user to see into the ethereal plane. So that's kind of one. And then a D8 Longsword. The Longsword, the D8 is associated with air. So I like this like vibrational air sword in a way. And so I'm not sure, but something that's, yeah. And so these could be something that they quest for on the elemental side. And then a short sword of earth. Maybe you can mold earth with it. It does extra bludgeoning damage. I'm not really sure. I don't like the idea of an earth being a short sword, but I guess I could make it into a hammer that does a D6 damage or something. I'll have to think about that. And then this is a fire D4 dagger. Definitely have to come up with something cooler than that. But fire is the association with the D4. So the 2 that I really wanted to talk about was, I've talked before about the Mysterium Cosmographicum and the Harmonicismmundi, and I wanted those to be legendary artifacts. So the Mysterium Cosmographicum, and I made a new section and I labeled this item. So this is just the item. This isn't the idea that the Mysterium Cosmographicum is all this. It is, Mysterium Cosmographicum defines the universe in these crystal shells of, you know, the D8, the D20, and how they're all interlocking, and they represent the different planes of existence. So this is a sort of manual of the planes. This item, known as the Mysterium Cosmographicum, is a book you can obtain that we don't, well, I would say that regular people know of mythologically, but they don't necessarily know that it really exists. But a magical book that contains maps of other planes, incantations to get there, and directions to known portals to other planes on Endigar. And then I put an inspiration for this would be Matt Colville's Codex Multiversalis, which is in Kingdoms and Strongholds. So he's got a whole bunch of codices that are running around in there, and it's really fun. So I liked this idea. It's kind of like a manual of the planes. And the more I was thinking about it, it's going to have information on the ethereal, the material, and the astral plane. Limited information on the far realm, because I think I want a separate book or item for that. And the author of this is going to be unknown. And that perhaps that this book came into existence through magical means, which is maybe that the whole book is actually a very complex spell. And when you cast that spell, the book materialized and kind of started writing itself, pulling truth from around it. And I got this idea because how many people have created computer programs that don't necessarily take a mind, like it doesn't create AI, but I was specifically thinking about, like, I built a computer program that I fed all of Beethoven's music into it, and then it wrote me a new Beethoven song. And that's kind of what I thought this was. Like, I crafted a spell. You hear that Minnesota accent came out just for a second. I crafted a spell that, after I put all of these truths into it, it will unravel and organize them and show me new truths, perhaps. So I like it. And then I just found some cool art. But that is a huge magical artifact that will kind of define most of it. And again, I don't have stats for this, but I think a lot of it, in 5e terms, you're gonna have, maybe your intelligence gets a +2, you have advantage on history checks involving the planes, and then we'll do some like major beneficial and minor detrimental stuff that you roll on to kind of see what it does. But this is, if you own this, people are gonna want it. The other one is the Harmonicismmundi, and I was thinking about this because specifically with this, it's also known as the universal music, and the Mundi was like a book that Kepler wrote, and I think it was the harmony of the world is what it translates into. And he believed that there was a vibrational musical harmony of the solar system that we are unable to hear, but that is the song of God. And so this ties back with, I kind of felt that bards get their magic from divine means, but also just from an innate understanding of the world around them and the vibrations of them around them, kind of a thing. So a set of musical notes. So we're going to say that the item of the Harmonicismmundi is another tome, or maybe it's a slip of paper. I also said that it's etched on platinum. I'm not really sure if I like that anymore, but somehow you have these notes, and I want to say that they can't necessarily be copied. Like, it's a personal interpretation, this magical item, and yeah, but the Harmonicismmundi are going to be the harmony of the world. They're going to be the notes of the world, the musical notes of the world, the vibrations that define the order of the material plane. And to know these means that you now have, you're Neo in the Matrix. You now can stop bullets. Like, you understand the world around you on a level that other people don't. Like, you see the Matrix code for what it is. Like, you understand the whole vibrations of the universe. You could probably look in the past through older vibrations, and figure out, or like, we need to be here at a certain time because that's going to cascade into us winning, the war. I'm Doctor Strange looking into a million possible futures. So to know these and alter them, or I should say, to know these allows you to alter the fabric of reality. The notes are magically etched on a platinum tablet in a code of sort. I don't really like that. I think I'm going to get rid of that. But it takes a long time to study these. So if you have this magic item, I think there will be some minor benefits, but you need to study it and have some kind of magic divine or arcane understanding to get a benefit out of it. So barbarian studying this isn't going to truly know what it is. But again, that would probably be up for the DM to interpret as well, because maybe your character does come from some magical barbarian tribe, who knows? But once you have fully studied these and you have the notes in your mind, you now have an understanding of how to manipulate the world. And then it's like a prepared spell. And once you use it to do something, it is gone from you, and you'll have to spend, like, I don't know, a month studying that again. So it is like, it's altering, but it's big. So yeah, like a 10th level spell almost. I kind of like that idea. This would definitely be an endgame item. And the art that I picked was some Magic the Gathering art of just, this is what I was thinking, like, what if you look down at your hands and you just see the world for what it is? Like, oh my gosh. Like, the ethereal, I don't know, you can see in 5 dimensions all of a sudden. Like, it would just be really interesting. So, hard to describe, but I like that because it's weird. And you could even work with your player. You've done this. What do you see? And then they could help you create that. Some of these others, this is a jar of curses. This is another spell book that I liked. I wanted to create a new class that uses chakrams, and so I have that in there. The Pallid Mask, I literally found this art and just thought it was really cool. This is, I think this is called the Pallid Mask, and it's a monster from Pathfinder. But I liked the idea of just this mask, and I'm not really sure what it does yet. But yeah, those are my items. So I'm curious about your items, and what exactly are you doing with like a giant relic? And then does it make sense to have it mapped out, or does it make sense to do other stuff? Let me know in the comments below. Also, you could interpret that Harmonicismmundi as being just a wish spell, you know, and allowing your players to have some kind of control over that. Lots of interesting things, you know. What if our entire mission is to get that and then bring back the Verthandi, and that's the harmonic thing that you do? That could be a goblin's quest. I'm a goblin bard, and I'm looking for this magical item that will allow me to restore the Verthandi to whatever they were before. So, could be really interesting. It's fun. It's fun to think about. Thank you guys. Tomorrow's our last day. It's crazy that I am very, I'll say this, yes, I am very proud of myself for putting out a video every day, because that is a lot more work than you would think. And although these are improvised, they're not script written, much like my other ones, it has been, it's been a challenge, and this has been, I'm very happy. So tomorrow, last video. Thank you guys for sticking with me. Tell your friends, tell your grandma, kiss your dog. I will see you guys tomorrow.